Hi everyone,
Hello,
we're back again with another Material Spotlight Tech Talk. I'm Emma.
I'm Dominic from Smoke Mirrors.
Awesome.
So today, what are we doing? We're doing Black MDF. Now, there isn't a huge amount to be said about Black MDF,
hmm
but we both figured that as it's a relatively new product to Kitronik,
Yeah.
that many people might not have seen it before. So
hmm
we thought we'd talk about it in brief. Um, and what is it exactly?
It is MDF that has been dyed black throughout.
So I'm holding a sheet. We only do it in one thickness and one size. It is
hmm
quite chunky,
Yeah.
6 millimeters thick. At a size of 600 millimeters by 400 millimeters, which is about A2 size.
Yeah.
Because of its thickness and the size of the sheet, it's maybe not
hmm
totally suited to the smaller laser cutters,
Yeah.
although a smaller 40-watt laser cutter will cut through it.
Yeah.
But it's
Yeah.
probably not ideal for diode lasers or anything like that.
Mm.
But it is a very structural, strong
Oh yeah. Yeah.
thing.
Extremely. If you wanted to use it for something where it would be, as Dominic says, structural, you could probably do something which you
Well,
would.
so I think I'm going to tease your little project already.
Ooh, yeah,
We'll
go
show a
for
video
it.
of it later. So just to show, I mean, it looks like just a box at the moment, but this is a box Emma made, and it's like a Pepper's Ghost
Yes. Yeah.
box, and we'll show that in a bit more detail
hmm
when we've run out of things to say about it.
Yes. So, shall we cut to the specifications?
Um, sure.
Right, let me. So we have.
Well, I suppose it already goes said that it's 6 millimeters thick.
Yeah.
Laser compatible MDF,
Yeah.
i.e., it meets the EU E1 low formaldehyde standard. So it's
Yeah.
a low formaldehyde content. Obviously, MDFs contain formaldehyde adhesive. This meets the specification for laser cutting, as i.e. low formaldehyde.
Yeah.
It's also great for engraving. I should point out
hmm
the engraving effects on it are very nice.
Let me show you
Should we go
the.
to the close-up
Yeah.
camera?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's go for the demonstration
Well, I'm
camera.
going to bring this one piece in first, try and show some angles on it. This part here where it says engrave is engraved.
hmm
Um, and I think we've got a video of that as well, but I'll
We
keep waving this
do.
around and talking about it. But I was thinking, and it's not something I've tried, but this is something that I will try. I've seen great engraving techniques where the the sort of the indent of the engrave can be filled, and I'd have thought this would work well with either an acrylic paint.
hmm
So think of a bright acrylic paint maybe in a syringe and just dropping it into each letter, letting it
Yeah.
fill each letter,
Yeah.
and then allowing, you need to wipe off
hmm
any excess. Or I've seen a similar thing done with wax crayons where you
Yeah.
use a bain marie or something like that to melt your wax crayon
hmm
into a liquid wax, and then again pour it in, and then obviously wax is fairly forgiving. Once it's
hmm
hardened again, you can sort of shave that off the top, but it would
Yeah.
leave a residue in there.
hmm
And it might look really really like striking.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I might have a go at that technique, and if another time we're talking about engraving or like something like that, I could bring
hmm
in that. But definitely worth an
hmm
experimentation.
I've actually seen a couple of people do things like this with resin and cold enameling as well, but those are
Right.
obviously more advanced sort of messy techniques. So you wouldn't want to be doing that in a classroom or something, but
Oh, I'm guessing like using wax crayons more of a homespun
oh yeah.
enameling. I mean, it's not
Yeah,
enameling,
yeah.
obviously, but like you might get that effect, especially if you
hmm
then varnish it, I suppose.
Yeah.
If you use like a satin varnish, you might get quite a nice finish.
hmm
And then let's bring up this one sheet here, where we have a light etch, and it's like in a sunburst pattern, just to show the difference. It's much more striking to the eye than it is on the camera here, where a little bit of the resolution's lost. But there's the normal work surface of the materials. You can see it sort of has this um, fibrous look to it,
hmm
and then where it's been engraved, it's much more matte.
Yeah. I think the way I would probably describe it as well, it's slightly different blacks. So the where the finish is on the Black MDF is quite a bluey black,
Yeah.
slightly reflective and glossy. But where it's etched off, it's
Charcoaly.
a little bit yellow, like a bit of a yellow undertone to it.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. I just wanted to show the edge
Oh yeah.
quite clearly, and then contrast it with our
Mm-hmm.
MDF with the black painted MDF,
Yeah.
which we'll talk about another time, no doubt. But
Mm-hmm.
so this is the edge. You can see it's like literally black all the way through. It's what Americans call MDF fiberboard, don't they? So
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
like a fiber. It's essentially wood dust that is glued together into a workable board,
Mm-hmm.
and in this case, it's been dyed black rather
Yeah.
than a traditional. Well, what would you even call traditional MDF colour? Wood colour?
Wood, yeah.
We go back to
wood
main
colour.
camera. I'm waving a piece of normal MDF around. Just to show the difference. So this is our 6mm MDF laser compatible material, literally the same stuff, but in the more traditional MDF
Yeah.
wood colour,
Yeah.
yellowy colour.
Yeah.
With obviously the edge you can see is that colour all the way through, and then the black is the same, but black all the way through.
Yes.
So if we go back to the close-up camera, I want to show the painted MDF.
Yeah.
And show what the difference is between the two. So this is our painted MDF, which will, as I mentioned, we'll talk about another time. But you see the difference is this has a painted black surface on it, which in this case has been etched off by the laser and giving that two-tone look, which is a little bit like sign composite, but in an MDF material. This is not, so this is not what we're talking about. But we often get asked through customer services, what is the difference? Customers ask what the difference is, and there's kind of an illustration. So our laser compatible black MDF is black all the way through. It's extremely structural and thick, and then our painted MDF is much thinner, is more like a sign material, sign-making material.
And it's not black all the way through. The black is only in the surface layer.
Yeah.
So you can etch that off to reveal the beige, as Micro Turbines in our comments has just put as well. Beige is probably inappropriate.
Beige.
Colour.
Well, okay, why not beige? I'll go with that.
Yeah.
It's like, we don't call it beige MDF though. It's just MDF.
Yeah.
MDF vanilla flavour. I was just going to mention, obviously, these are not external materials.
Yes.
Though this is a very dense material, it's not ideal for outdoor usage. Neither is the painted. Although the painted with that layer of paint on the top has a little bit more resistance to wear.
Yeah.
Unless, of course, you remove it with a laser beam. Yeah. We do have some videos of it.
We do, don't we?
Engraving. And well, first we'll start by showing. So this is Jonathan down in our laser room. Cuts these and engraves these samples for us just before the show, and as it comes out the laser, obviously that material has been vaporized into gas, and some of that gas vapor and particulate will settle onto the material, and you can't see it, but I'm just looking at my fingers and they're a little bit not stains, not the word, because it just brushes off,
it's a bit sooty.
It doesn't feel unpleasant though.
No.
And Jonathan's using a isopropanol alcohol wipe just to clean that up. And he does quite a good job of it.
Yeah.
He only did it once. His video's on loop.
Yes, it is. No, he's just doing it over and over again.
And then here's the cut through. So as you can see, we're sort of showing these in reverse order.
Yeah.
So I asked Jonathan about settings, and he said he basically is using the same settings for the same thickness of beige MDF, vanilla MDF, as we were calling it earlier. So obviously it's black, so it's maybe going to take a little more energy to cut through. But on this machine, which is an 80 watt / 100 watt laser cutter, so a fairly big cutter, it really didn't make a meal of it. As you can see, it's cutting through quite nicely there. And should we bring up the engraving video? I maybe didn't send you an engraving video, Emma.
No, we've got the outlines though, and that is line engraving.
So this is the kiss cutting, and on this particular piece, we wrote laser cut at the top there, and the cut part was a cut through, and it cut through very easily, and then the parts were pushed through later, and you can see, I'll show you in a bit, how structural even very small parts cut in this material are. And I'd be tempted to use them for sign making in their own right, but so we'll show that in a bit.
Yeah. So shall we show? We can show that now if you'd like.
Yeah, why not?
Okay.
So there are these little bits down here that say cut, and as I say, I'm going to bring one up a bit closer to the camera. I'm not sure how well it'll show. And that's just me getting it in the wrong place. But you can see that this piece is, really, it's actually really quite strong. I don't have giant hands, so you can see it's also fairly small. I think these squares on the cutting mat are centimetre square. So you get the idea there. And that has been pushed through the cut part. I don't know if you can see my finger through it, but you can probably see the cutting mat through this little tester piece that Jonathan downstairs cut for us. And he just popped those out with a stylus, just boop, 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 like that. And they dropped out very nicely. And I believe that was done at the same speed and power as the outer cut. And then if I rub my finger on the edge, you can see, well, maybe you can't, but if it wasn't blown out by lights, you can see that I've left a smudge on my finger there. But again, with an isopropanol wipe, if you were making a piece to send out or something like that, or if you wanted to finish, you could clean that up quite nicely. I would describe the finish on this as being somewhat slate-like.
Oh, yeah, you are right about that. That is a good description. It has that sort of like slightly glossy blue, like almost natural look because of the particles in the fiberboard.
It's not as blue-grey as slate, so I'm not going to pretend it's like exactly the same. It has that kind of still sort of, again, not as heavy as slate, but it has a weightiness to it that is substantial.
Yeah.
I think if I was at the Assemble at Derby Silk Mill this weekend, and one of the people displaying was Jake Howe. That's Jake, Jake Howe, Howe, who, if you look up his website, and I don't remember it off the top of my head, has some camera hacks that he's done where he's got lenses and shutters and things like that, and then used MDF and things like that to build it. And he hasn't been using this black MDF, but I could imagine some of his structural camera work done in this material would be quite effective.
Yeah. That's very true.
I think it's time to show Pepper's ghost video.
I think it is. Now we could, if we show first the box itself. So this here is a box which I always say weaponizes the effect of Pepper's ghost for a smartphone. So essentially what I've done is I've used the black MDF as sort of a light shield.
Yeah.
The reason I chose black MDF for this is because I wanted the inside to be as dark as possible, and for like sort of something like book nooks are really common things that you find on Etsy these days, where you've got like a little a tiny diorama inside a bookcase. I can see that working quite well with this, and I think for this it works really well because it does block the light out very effectively, and as you can see, there is a piece of PETG here at an angle, and then a drawer at the bottom. And this here is a really thin piece, and I think it ought to have broken if it were something thinner, less structural. Like we keep saying, it's extremely, extremely structural. So this has been cut out for a few months now, and it's stayed very, very well And to attach all of it together, it's got these finger joints, and we used PVA glue.
So that's just like ordinary wood glue, or
Yeah.
school glue sometimes it's called.
Yeah.
The one that you can
Yeah.
put it on your hands and peel it off.
Oh, yes. Yes. Favorite.
Did you have to use like a rubber mallet or anything to get it together, or it's just pushed together?
I think there was a rubber mallet in some cases, like these smaller pieces.
Oh, for the
internal finger joints, but like for the ones on the top, basically just could press them down. Yeah, so we've got a video of it working.
The Pepper's Ghost video.
Yes. So let's. Here you go. You can see I'm getting a video up on my phone there. And
we got this video from YouTube.
Oh yeah. It's just a black background that allows the little dancing skeletons there to be seen in the reflection, but not anything else. Which is, it's quite fun.
So you pop that in the drawer. You need to make sure the phone's the right way up. I was trying it with my phone, and it kept the screen kept adjusting to the angle because I haven't got the screen locked. So probably with your screen locked.
Yeah.
And obviously you've got angle piece of, you've got quite thin perspex there, and it's not very clear in our video, but there's a Baroque scene behind.
Yeah.
Oh no, it's very clear now. Although you can see.
I think I went on Unsplash and found, I think the first image I could for hotel lobby was that was how I found that one.
I was doing there was some shoebox theatres that Tim Hunkin, who's a great YouTuber and broadcaster, was making, where you'd have sliders and you'd slide, like, say if you wanted to do like a Godzilla sort of shoebox movie, so 2 eye holes in the end of the shoebox, and then sort of scenery that you can slide in and out. But I think this Pepper's Ghost idea with a phone, with then a box like this, but with made longer with 2 eye holes in, or some sort of viewfinder in, because it is, as you were saying, it's a great choice for something that's light proof.
Yes,
because it's super dense stuff. Light is not coming through that. I mean, you can't see it, but you're gonna have to take my word for it. I'm holding a piece up in front of one of our studio lights here, and there is nothing coming through that. I mean, of course there isn't. 6mm thick and as black as night.
It's very good for that application. You are right.
Speaking of assemble, one of my fellow exhibitors, Graham Smith, is asking a question here. Although I think the question is about the painted board. He wants to know, he's struggling with some residue on one side of the painted board, even using isopropyl alcohol. Not sure if he's waiting too long after cutting. Unfortunately, I haven't done much experiment with the painted board.
I've done some amount. I think with laser cutting the paint off of the front of it, it sort of, I don't want to say it, like impregnates the paint into the surface of the MDF a little bit, but I tend to brush it off first before I use anything, which
I suppose Graham might be using the white one, and again, like I haven't used that very much.
Yeah.
I'd be tempted to mask it at the cutting edge if it was a problem, using something like sign maker's transfer sheet, which is just essentially a masking tape that comes on a huge roll, so you can cover the whole of your surface with it. But of course, if you are engraving, having to engrave through like a transfer sheet as well as through your top layer, it's going to cause a different kind of staining. So we haven't got a simple answer for that one.
No. It's a trial and error process, probably. I tend to, my working method for getting dust off of something, when I know that something like isopropyl alcohol is essentially going to like set it pretty much, because sometimes it does that. I brush it off first and don't dampen it first, get the most off that way, and then I'll use the isopropyl.
Would it withstand the sanding? Or would that damage the paint? I mean, I assume the sanding would damage the painted top.
I think potentially the paint is a little bit too thin for that.
Yeah, I mean, I've not done much experimentation with sanding on MDF either. I think, you know, like probably. Oh, I've rubbed my thumb on the side of the non-cleaned just to show the difference between the isopropanol cleaned and the non-cleaned. It's quite a difference, that isn't it? Got black thumb now.
Yeah.
But I think having a video, a live stream on finishing techniques in the future might be a really good one.
Yeah.
Where we can do some experimentation and really sort of trawl through some forums and some suggestions and see, you know, what works, what doesn't. We've been thinking about doing more live kind of.
Yeah.
You know, together we will discover something
Yeah.
about how to work with these materials really well. So, good question, Graham. Sorry we don't have a definitive answer for you. But if you keep experimenting too, we'd love to hear about it too, of course.
Just before we move on,
Yes.
I'd like to sort of make a little segue back into the Pepper's Ghost project. Just to let you all know, if you wanted to recreate the Pepper's Ghost project, we do have it as a resource.
Is that on one of the blogs?
Yes, it is. Let me just go over to our window capture. So here it is. In order to find this, you'll just want to go to Resources and Inspire Me, and then underneath Maker Tutorials. This is where I live. You can see I've been doing quite a lot of spooky stuff for Halloween. I think Pepper's Ghost is probably appropriate for the time.
Oh, it's totally a time appropriate project.
But down here, there is the Pepper's Ghost. So it's just an explanation of exactly how it is that it's made, what it is, a little bit of history, and then all the DXF for exactly what it is that I have made there. Just you know, after having used and had this box, the Pepper's Ghost box, on my desk for a good couple of months now, good few months, I would suggest making the drawer out of something that isn't
you use sparkly acrylic.
Yeah.
And, it looks fabulous, but obviously the light is sending a few sparkles back up to the Pepper's Ghost effect.
Yeah, just a couple. I would suggest using something black and non-glossy if you potentially can.
Or you could use the same sparkly, which looks fab. Yeah. But you could line it with you could spray paint it internally, or you could line it with black card, or anything again that has no has a low light reflectivity.
Yeah, you can see the drawer there. It's quite.
It's a fab drawer, Emma.
It's very very fantastic. If you didn't need it to be light.
I mean, it looks more suited to keeping some like bubblegum vaping, or maybe like a glossy lip gloss with sparkles in it.
Yeah, it looks like a kid's jewellery drawer. I think that would be a nice thing, actually. Maybe on a jewellery project.
Yeah. I think this structurally would be great for something like a jewellery box project.
Yeah.
Or even something like, you know, a separator for in a drawer, you know, like a cutlery style box, or like a tool separator in a drawer. I mean, it has such a great kind of. I don't really like the look of MDF. I think it looks cheap, but this stuff is like MDF but doesn't look cheap. You know, it looks like you did it on purpose.
Yeah.
You, with the edges of the edges on a laser cut MDF, you do get that sort of staining, which, you know, just like Graham was mentioning for the side material, isn't really a feature of MDF that you can remove that staining. I mean, you can probably sand it and what have you. So, I mean, really, what else is there to say about Black MDF other than to wave a piece around and say goodbye, I suppose?
Yeah, no, it's really fun as just a way of making something in a different colour if you really just don't want to get the paint out.
Because MDF can be hard to paint.
Oh yeah,
I'm saying hard to paint. Like, what I mean is if you're experienced at painting MDF, then you know what it takes to paint MDF. But if you don't really want to learn to paint MDF, consider using
Yeah.
the Black MDF.
Yeah.
It exists. Here it is, and it's available today from Kitronik.
Yes, absolutely.
I don't know what we're doing next month.
No, I cannot remember, but
Probably-
we will definitely be here.
When we did talk about maybe making Christmas baubles or something like that, Christmas decks.
Oh yes, yeah.
Maybe we'll do that. Like, we're not going to don't hold us to it.
Yeah.
It'll be something like that. It'll be advertised before we do it.
Yeah. Keep an eye out on our social medias. We'll let you know. So
say goodbye, Emma.
Goodbye, Emma.
Until next time, thanks very much for watching. And if you think of any questions in the meantime, do pop them in the comments, and sure we'll be able to have a roundup of things maybe in the new year.
Oh, Graham, just before we go, Graham says 3mm on the horizon. We can get back to you on that. Mark said watch this space.
Watch this space. We don't know. It would be great to have a 3mm of it. At the moment, though, it's just in the
just a
600 by 400. It's really, as I say, really structural stuff. Great for light boxes.
Yes, it's amazing.
Like, that to me is the use case. But I can imagine using it in 3mm.
Yeah.
So wait and see.
Yeah. Well, thanks everyone. I'll see you later. Say bye, Dominic.
Goodbye, Dominic. We've done that, Jess. We can't do it twice.
Bye. See you later, everyone.